Hello and welcome to Mad Goes Racing, and today we are looking at TT Right on the Edge IIyama 3, or I might have got that the wrong way around, mightn't I? TT Iiyama Right on the Edge 3? One of those. I've had this a couple of days, I've been able to play with it. I think we'll go through and sort of look through the settings, and then we'll talk about what it does. Or should I tell you what it does when you first come in first? I'll tell you what it does. Right, when you first start it, it will go through various things and ask you to select what class you want to ride in, what bike or what rider you want to select, because the bike's obviously linked with the rider, and then it will put you into free roam, which allows you to just wander around the Isle of Man looking for things to do. It doesn't actually give you the option straight away to go in and change settings for controls or video or anything like that. It just dumps you in there and off you go. So if you do want to change anything, you have to go into this menu, which you get to by pressing the start button on your controller, or the P key on your keyboard. Of all the weird things to press, you'd have thought it had been escape. Mine is not to reason why, etc. Game settings. General. This allows you to change things like your measurements, your physics simulation level. I think you've got to change. I believe you were given the option to select that when you first started as well. I left it on whatever it defaulted to, which was beginner initially. I've gone up to intermediate. I've tested the realistic setting as well. The only difference it seems to make is how long you can hang on to a brake before you lose the front end. On beginner, it's bloody near impossible to actually drop it. Intermediate, you can, especially in the wet, which you can set up anytime you like whilst you're riding around. And in the realistic, it's quite easy to overdo it. If you've been riding around on the other two, it takes you a little while to get used to the full fat physics. Transmission, I have a semi. I could have gone manual, but I don't like to do it myself. No, I've chosen the semi-automatic for a reason. There is no fully automatic. There's semi-automatic or there's manual. Semi-automatic allows you to just override it by pressing a button. Braking system combined. The reason for going for that is quite simply I have the dexterity of a gibbon with 10 broken fingers. So when it comes to trying to apply a back brake separately, I usually fail dismally. Tucked position, again, I've set it to automatic, so good old Pete here, he'll duck for me when I need him to, and he'll sit up when he needs to. Another reason for doing that is the fact that the steering is on your left stick by default, and tuck and sit up is also on your left stick by default. So if you're trying to tuck and turn at the same time, or sit up and turn and brake, you seem to always get a limit on one or the other bit, because obviously you can go around the outside of the control, but it doesn't always sort of work quite as you expect it to. I always, if I get the opportunity, and I actually do tuck and sit up and everything manually, I usually put it on the right stick, and we'll get to why I haven't bothered on this in a minute. Control and vibration 100%. AI skill, again, that was what it defaulted to, 40%. I haven't actually tried upping it yet. I haven't been beaten yet. I obviously need to up it a bit, but I just left it at what it would do. And delete game data obviously gives you the option to delete your game data, which I'm not going to do. Audio, usual selection of bits and pieces for ambient, engine, etc, etc, etc. Streamer mode, that just turns the music off, so you don't have to worry about the music volume. Voice chat, if you've got some friends to talk to, otherwise just use Discord like everybody else. Controls, now this is where things get a little bit bizarre. As I've pressed the key on the keyboard, it's now saying keyboard. As soon as I do something and go in there with the controls, it says controller. That's a bit bizarre. I hadn't even known that did that until I did it. Learn something new every day. Now I've got it on custom setup. Basically, the only thing I've customized, because you've only got two choices, custom or setup A. Setup A, the defaults for it I don't like, but you could reassign everything, or try to, apart from there's various things where you go, I don't think that's going to help. Here we go. This is where you tuck in and you steer left and right are on the same stick. You got clutch and next camera on your bumpers, which are what I usually use for up and down gears. The amount of times I've changed camera whilst coming into a corner because I was trying to change down a gear or change up a gear or whatever. Rear camera is on your button press for your stick, and you look left, right, and look front, rear are on your right stick. Now, if you went bollocks to it, I'm going to get rid of those and put my tuck in, tuck out on the right stick. You would then have nothing to apply front and rear look, and it would actually not let you do that because it would say you haven't got something assigned, you've got to assign something. If you go, oh well, I'd like to assign something else to it, for a start, being front rear, I'm thinking that's looking for a specific axis, because rather than having look front, look rear, there is actually a rear camera. Why do you need look rear? That doesn't make sense, other than the fact that you can then sort of roll around the outside with your stick and sort of do this and it will look round. It's all a bit strange. So I did try shifting the shift up and down onto the buffers. I then had to apply something else to Y and A, which was then clutch and next camera. I kept then accidentally tapping the clutch and doing it. So all in all, it was a bit of a fuck up. So I've just left it at default, and the only thing I've actually changed is the sensitivity of the steering by going from the default, which is -5, down to -2. I'm slowly sort of upping that to see if it makes a lot of difference to how easily you can flick through S-bends and things. But other than that, I think the setup is a bit shit when it comes to controllers. You should be able to just say, I don't want to assign something. Why the do you need to assign something to every single thing? Video, right, you can turn everything off in the HUD, so you can have sort of opponent names on and off, so when they're showing up. I've got race line on, that's as it is by default. It's actually quite useful because there are a load of places you get to race which I've never beaten before, and it at least gives you some idea when there's a corner coming up and going, panic, brake. So that helps. Task, time attack. That's the thing up in the top left there. It's fairly pointless. All it does is it tells you when you failed a task. So if you've got 3 tasks in one of your to-do things, you know you fucked it up when you got a quarter of the way around the Isle of Man, so you can restart. So that's about the only thing that's useful on it. Everything else, I mean, being told to hold your clutch in when you've got an automatic clutch is a bit pointless, because it does do that. Tells you when you've discovered shit as well. So it's all quite reasonable, and the fact that you can literally turn every single thing on and off is quite good. So it gives you plenty of things to mess with. Gamma correction, usual thing. If it's too dark, make it lighter. If it's too light, make it darker. I think I might actually have it a bit too. I think it actually saves that, and it saves it on the bloody cloud as well. So it keeps copying it between my 2 machines, and they need slightly different gamma, which is slightly annoying because I can actually see the not visible bit, whereas I can't on that one, which is annoying. Graphics wise, I've got it borderless full screen. I've got dynamic resolution on. I can't remember why I turned it on. I think I was just messing about. But V-Sync's a bit weird. This is a 70Hz screen, but it runs at 60Hz when it's V-Synced in here. You can put it on 30, and when you do, on this machine, it then runs at 35. And if you put it with V-Sync at none, It also does 60 frames per second, like it did the other day when I was testing it. The other machine over there, VSync off, does exactly what it should do. This is a bit strange. There have been some people complaining. It might be something to do with going full screen as opposed to borderless full screen, but I think I tried it in a window as well, and it still only did 60 Hz, but fair enough, it does 60 Hz. Advanced graphics, by default, when you start up, no matter what you've got, it's very high. You can actually go down to low, and it turns quite a lot of stuff off. I don't know whether you can see in the background how much of a difference that makes. Go there. It's quite nice graphically. That's with everything turned up to 11. If you go back to the game settings and video and advanced graphics and turn it all down to low, we'll do the same with the post processing. Turn everything off so you can have a quick sort of comparison. It's not bad at all, actually. I mean, okay, there's a bit less vegetation. The level of detail distances are very much shorter, so you get a lot more pop in. You get houses suddenly appear out of nowhere and things like that. But it works. It does what it's meant to do, which is make your card work a little less hard. I'll put it back to high. Obviously, you've got plenty of options. You can tinker about all you like with it. Again, post processing. I mean, you can mix and match what you want to get the best thing for you with whatever you're running, and gives you loads of options. Language, obviously, you can change the text and voiceover. With the license, I can't remember if it forces you that or not, and if you've got an account. So, right, I'm going to just pause this recording, and I will be back later to do some more, because it's going to take ages to do, and I'm going to have to do it in little lumps. Back in a minute. Right, a couple of hours later, and I'm back again. I have to eat, and I have to do the washing up, so whatever. Right, where was I? Yeah, when you first come into the game, you are effectively dumped into free roam mode, which means you can wander around the map, and you'll be looking. Was that my other machine? Whatever. You'll be looking for things to do, effectively, things to find. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute. But I haven't actually had much of a play with the photo mode. It works. It allows you to do the usual sorts of things where you can sort of zoom in and out and wander around and this sort of thing. Whether or not it actually does anything strange in the way of sort of enhancing the picture at all to make that look better. Is that a K6? I think it's a K6. Designed by the same man who designed Paddington Station, amongst other things. I've been sidetracked, haven't I? Yeah, photo mode should do what it says on the tin. Credits, you can watch the credits. Custom event, that allows you to basically create any type of event you like. So you just say where you want to race. It lists all the tracks, hopefully. Whether or not we've suddenly got an extra track. I think there's actually been a couple of updates since I started doing this. I think that's all on, isn't it? Yeah. So it allows you to select the track, select all the how many riders you want, etc., etc. So you can do the full circuit, or you can do sectioned. I think all of the circuits are like that. So whether that's how they've got 32 circuits, I'm not sure. But if that's 32 circuits is basically all bits on the Isle of Man, then it's a little bit naughty. You can decide how many sessions you want in terms of free practice qualifying, how many laps, what time of day, weather conditions. You can have clear, cloudy, overcast, rainy. Of course, when it comes to the Isle of Man, they don't actually race if it's pissing with rain, because it's bloody dangerous. So, number of competitors, how skillful they are, starting method. You can either have it interval or mass, so everybody will start in one go, or you can start at sort of 10 seconds intervals. Where you are, tyre wear, yes or no, and then you get to choose your rider and your category. So you get Super Sport 22, Superbike 22. I thought they're out of the 23 now. Maybe you can't choose 23 in here yet, but yeah, basically this is more or less how you start the game anyway, with the choice of choosing who you are, what you're doing. So yeah, that's very similar. Obviously you can access the online leaderboards for all the things that have been uploaded. Esports, if you really want to go into that, then there's the option, but the journal's quite interesting. As you go around the island, it uncovers various things. There are points of interest, so you will uncover points of interest. They're locked until you find them and select them, and then it all gets unlocked in here, and you can go through and find out all the information. Again, all the riders, I've selected Michael Rutter as my second season of, because you can have a Super Sport and a Superbike. I'll see that in a minute. So I've now got some information about Michael, who I raced against his dad. Isn't that weird? And then there should be down the bottom here somewhere Peter Hickman. Got less words about him, but he's probably won more races than Michael, but that's immaterial really. Information about the Tourist Trophy. I can't remember how you unlock these. I think you unlock them as you're just wandering around, really. So I don't think they were actually part of a point of interest or anything. So, and then tutorials, which bizarrely are some of them unlocked until you actually find them. So what happens is you'll get a little pop-up thing, and the nice young lady will tell you all about whatever you're looking at, and you can read it at the same time. She only ever does it once. If you've forgotten what she said, you can come in here and all the things she said to you are now in here. So basically this is what you do when you're wandering around, and this is how your seasons go. And basically you'll have a series of events and extra challenges, and there's unofficial events that you have to do to reach the Tourist Trophy. And then these challenges are separate. Now, as you can see, they've got different coloured icons. Sort of blue are the challenges. That also includes the points of interest, which you don't actually have to do anything for other than click a button to go, oh look, I can read it. The orange ones are unofficial events, and they split into two lots: the qualifying events and then the race events. In the season I did with Peter, brain death, Hickman, it was eight qualifiers, 8 races, and then you went to the TT, which you had to do a qualifier for, and then the race itself. For the Super Sport, it was 4 laps. I don't know whether the Superbike will be 6 laps or not. We'll find out when we get there eventually, but that's going to be another 6 to 8 hours before you get it, because it takes quite a while to get through all the various bits to get to it for each season. So, rewards, you get XP, which is how you end up with, in the top right hand corner, 037. That's my level 37. The bit to the right of that, 999. I don't know if that's just coincidence that it stopped on 999, or whether there's a limit of 999 upgrade points before you sort of don't get any more and you lose them if you don't spend them. The 282 is the performance metric for the bike. Presumably as you do upgrades, that number increases. So as you upgrade the bike, which I'll show you about in a moment, but basically you need to sort of read all this, and then you'll see the timeline. As it says, one category per season per save slot. So you can have season in each category and power line, switch between them, leaderboards, etc. So there's lots of information. Interestingly, pit stops. It didn't actually come up and tell me this until I had to do a pit stop. I pulled into the pit and it suddenly went, oh, I better tell you about pit stops, which is a little bit disconcerting when you're 2 laps through a 4-lap TT. And you go in, I presume I just pull into the pits, and yeah, that's all you do. You pull into the pits, and it just suddenly goes, oh, I'm going to I'm going to do a pit stop. So yeah, a little bit strange. There's different types of challenge. Discovery challenge. As I said, they're just a point of interest, and it just gives you some facts, historical anecdotes, etc. Face-off challenge, that's you racing against one other opponent on track. Task challenges, they're a bit weird. Basically, you're doing something like a race or time trial or something like that, and you will have one or more tasks to complete. I don't know if 3 is a maximum. 3 is the most I've seen. Like, one of the tasks was do a full lap of the IIyama TT course in the wet in under 21 minutes without going off track more than 4 times, or without falling off more than 4 times. Well, I fell off and passed the 4 off tracks all in one go. Took me 3 attempts. I got at least halfway round the second time before I managed to somehow go off track 4 times. I couldn't work out where I was going off track, so I did it eventually by literally not crossing white lines on the outside of the circuit. That worked eventually. And then there's time attacks, which are literally, you're given a time and you have to beat the time. So that's the different types of thing. And if we go in here, you can see the different icons. If they've got a little green tick next to them, that means you've done them. If they've got a exclamation mark, it means you haven't done them. And if they've got nothing on them, it means you've probably clicked on it but haven't yet done them. So at least you've sort of been to them, and so I click on it, you get the panel on the left there, which also shows you which things you actually found so far. So I've done 5 points of interest out of 7, 2 of the 5 time attacks, 3 of the 8 tasks, and 1 of the 8 head-to-heads. You'll also notice it's got the 2 orange icons on the left. The stopwatch one is your qualifying events, and I've done 8 out of 8 of those and 8 out of 8 of the races. And what happens is, as you do a qualifying event, you suddenly find another icon for the associated race pops up on the island somewhere. You don't have to ride to it, you just click on it on the map and go, I want to do that, and then you get to actually do the event. Once you've done your 8 qualifiers and your 8 races, and you have to go through qualifier race, qualifier race, qualifier race, you can't do 8 races and then 8 qualifiers, you have to do in that order. Then you get the qualifier shows up for the actual IIyama GT, and then once you've qualified, you can then race. And like I said, that was 4 laps. So it's quite a lot to do to get to the TT, and some of these qualifiers are quite short, some of them are quite long. Some of the tasks are quite short, some of them are quite long. Like I said, the doing a lap of the IIyama without screwing up, that was in under 21 minutes. I think I did it in 19 in the end, so I've actually recorded the replay of it. You can't save a replay, so I recorded the replay, and one of the things about the replay was the sound went a bit horrible at times. I've actually once had the sound, I went to look at a replay, and when I went into the replay there was no sound, and the way it started off, still no sound. Came out of the replay, back to the normal game, drove off, still no sound. I actually had to come out of the game to get the sound to work again, so that was a bit bizarre. So there's been a couple of minor hiccups here and there. I was going to try and use the analog control on my Formula rim to do the look forward, look back, so that I could use the right stick on the Xbox controller to do the tucking. As soon as I turned my wheel on with the game running, it crashed the game. And when I try to restart the game, it won't start if my wheel is on. So I'm not sure what the hell is up with that. That's just bizarre in the extreme. But whatever. So basically you can go wandering around and do all the various things. There are other things on here. This map can be a little bit bizarre. Sometimes the cursor seems to get stuck, whether they fix that in a couple of updates. Sometimes the map just drifts as well if your controls are a little bit ancient, like mine are. The dead zone might not be quite as dead as you'd hope. But these are online time attacks. So they call them temporary challenges. They're up for a certain amount of time. As you can see, there's another 3 days to go on that. and you can enter it as many times as you like. And when the challenges run out, wherever you are on the leaderboard, you might get something from it. Don't know what, but you'll get something from it. So I've done that one. When it came up with the leaderboard at the end of it, it had my name and nobody else on it. So whether I was the only person who literally had done it at that time, I don't know. But again, there's another one up here, and this one is grey for some bizarre reason. Whether that was the one I'd already done, I can't remember. But it says hold X to collect your reward, so no reward. So yeah, that's a bit bizarre as well. So I'm not sure what's up with that. But that one's been sitting there going, you've got a reward. Oh no, you haven't. So, but the other things on here, these purple icons, that's a fast travel point. Forgot what it was called for a second there. I only used it all types of game. Fast travel point, so you can actually travel to any point on the course if you're just wandering about and you want to go to a specific thing. But like I said, anything that's already there, you can just click on it and you could go straight to it anyway. So you don't actually very often need the fast travel points, particularly. You know, the exclamation mark has disappeared off that one. These are quite important. These are your setup and upgrade points. When you first come in, all of these icons are grey because they're all at their lowest possible level. Like this one. This, if you click on it, all you do in there is set the amount of fuel in it. You can't upgrade the tank, as far as I'm aware. Everything else, like your tyres, you can, if you press RB, you can change the wet and dry pressure. You actually get wets and dry tyres, which is interesting. I don't know if you can see the tyres on there. They're actually wet tyres because it's raining at the moment. If I come out of here and actually change the weather, if I can remember how to do that. How did I change the weather? There it is. Time and weather down the bottom. It's beyond. So you can then change what time of day it is. So you can go morning, afternoon, dusk, and you can go rainy, overcast, cloudy, clear. If I change it to clear, we're going down here and hit change. It's now bone dry, and you will notice my tyres are different. And if I go back into here and the map and go to here, I've got a different set of tyres on the bike. So I'll give them credit for that. They at least managed to get the right tyres for when you're on the track and when you're here. So well done. If you click on it, you can not only go here and change pressures, but if you go right, you can actually change to a better set of tyres, and you have to buy them obviously, and it costs you a bit, but you'll note the performance points is now 293 instead of 282, so it's actually going up. Life cycle, that's how long your tyres last before they get knackered, so 124 metres. I think it might be miles actually. Dry grip bonus, you actually get some additional grip on some of the tyres. The first set update, they just last longer. These have got more grip on them in both dry and wet. I think I can actually go all the way up to level 5 on here. So what I'll do is I will unlock that set of tyres, and you'll now notice that the icons change to a different colour, so you can tell what level your upgrade is. And then I can just keep going, and I can unlock that, and then unlock that, so I could have fully unlocked extra performance. See, my performance has gone up nearly 50 points there for performance points. How that affects things like online races or anything like that, I don't know. I don't know whether that's all taken into account or whether it does some sort of matching for online stuff. Not really worried at the moment. Like I say, I haven't actually been online. I've literally been riding around for however many hours I've been playing the game. But that's how you upgrade, and you can upgrade your brakes. There is no, you know, there's nothing to adjust on that. Shocks, you get the adjustment on as you change up and go through the different available updates. You'll see you get they're lighter, and you get extra preload ranges and extra rebound and compression ranges, so it gives you more range to play with, or a more fine-tuned range to play with. How much you're likely to play with them, I don't know, but again, gearbox, you can adjust all the individual ratios, and I'm not sure which way the flaming ratios go, whether one is higher or lower. I'm assuming right is a higher gear and left is a lower gear. I don't know. But again, you got lots of different transmissions which give you things like reduced gear shift time, extra traction. Not quite sure how a gearbox gives you extra traction, but whatever. Engine, presumably one of these has got a bit more oomph to it. And interestingly, fuel consumption reduction. So does that mean if you've got a 57% reduction in fuel consumption? That's amazing. Also, I'm not really sure about that engine power output. 76 brake horsepower? I hope it's got a bit more than that. So yeah, that's a bit bizarre. I did notice earlier it's like sort of 72 in its default. Like, what? So yeah, and you can go back to a previous level. So I'm assuming there's some sort of, you can balance these numbers at some point somewhere along the line. I'm not really sure, but yes, interesting. So you can upgrade and downgrade your components. But yeah, all of these you can play with, and different chassis. So whether something like a chassis will actually give you rear stability bonus. I like my rear to be nice and stable. Aerodynamic drag coefficient as well. Drag coefficient in feet squared. Coefficient is just a number. So I don't know where you get 5.048 feet squared as a drag coefficient. That's very odd. And again, presumably that's got a drag coefficient reduction. If it said 0.6 and then went down to 0.59, that would have been much more what I would expect an aerodynamic drag coefficient to be. But yeah, that's a bit strange. Either drag coefficient is a number, or drag force is a force, or that's the frontal area. All three of those are interchangeably related in some way or other. There's a load of maths you can do that if you reduce your coefficient, you get less drag force. If you reduce your frontal area, you get less drag force. If you reduce both, you get even less drag force. So yeah, bit of a strange one to say coefficient then give it your feet squared, but I digress. Or waffle, one of the two. But anyway, that's basically what you do. You just wander around and go to all the various things and select them. Like I said, these sort of points of interest, you can literally just select them and it'll go to the journal and show you the information in there. The only other thing is this, which is the... Did I select what I thought I'd selected? No. I could have sworn I selected that. Yeah. I was going to say, didn't I select that? Like I said, this map's a bit jumpy at times. That gets you to a custom multiplayer event, so you can actually create or join a multiplayer lobby. So you can set your own lobby up. I just have a quick look. I haven't actually tried it, so if I look at a lobby list, so you can do it by category: super sport, super bike. you can actually do it by simulation level, which is quite interesting. And mass or didn't actually want to join one, but there you go. And I won't be joining one because there is one. Did it actually ask me to set up a thing in the firewall at any point? That's an interesting point. I don't remember it saying, would you like to allow something through your firewall? So whether or not that's going to cause a problem, I don't know. Lobby type, private, free, that's it. Physics, automatic, unrestricted. Okay. Track selection, we'll just select it just as a matter of interest. Go to rider selection. So, okay, I'll just select that. It doesn't actually matter. Then you create your lobby. Oh, okay. I was expecting maybe to see something that had some relationship to your how upgraded your bike is or something, because it would seem a bit silly to allow people to race something that's got no upgrades against something that's like all level 5 upgrades. Bit strange. So yeah, I was expecting to see something that would allow you to do that. Interesting. Any road up. Seasons. Now this is where I've actually done the full season with Peter Hickman, and you can see it's now changed. The icons along the top there are all different colours for the green, and then the one orange one where I've changed my tyres and updated, so it actually shows you your performance points for your bike, what you've upgraded and everything else, and then it actually shows you your active season. So you can see I've got everything's greyed out now, so you can see that I've done the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 qualifying races, and then at the end, although it's all greyed out, so it's slightly different to the one below that you can see, but you can see it's actually got the 9th event is actually the TT, and then it's got the I1. So I don't know if it actually, I don't know what the category info does. Okay, is that all it says? But you can actually swap between, it says start season. I think because I've finished, I can now do another season starting at the point that it's at now, and it will actually restart the season or start a new season. So I'd be on like season 2 for Peter Hickman. Should I do that? Right, that takes you back to the rider selection. So you can do, once you finish the season, you can go in and select another rider. So I am assuming there are different points of interest, potentially different other things that will be different between different riders. Otherwise you're doing exactly the same. You don't want to be doing exactly the same 8 events for each rider. So I will say no to that, but I will change to, now my map will be updated. Beer. Sponsored by beer. How do you manage to get yourself sponsored by a brewery? I don't know. Now, I haven't actually tried the Superbike at all yet, but I will. If I press the back button, I will go straight to the map, and what you should see is there's a lot less icons on here now. Although there are now 3 of these time icons, so presumably there's 3 things I could try and put my name on the board for. Set up things, I presume I can. Oh, select it. Is, as I said, I'll use my fucking mouse because that's a pain in the arse. I've got the setup screen. I presume, go through and upgrade all my tyres because I've still got 933 points. So bizarrely, because I'm level 37 already and it's only level 28 to be unlock everything. I don't know if there's anything that actually requires a higher than level. Oh, that's 33. That's 30. So there's different levels for some of these things. 28 seems to be the highest so far. 31. So 33. As long as you're above level 33, you should be able to upgrade everything by the looks of it. Oh, and when you upgrade your brakes, you do front and rear. Same as your tyres, you do front and rear. So, but the suspension is separate, front and rear. So if you upgrade your front, you probably want to upgrade the rear to match. You don't want to be putting really flash suspension on the back end. And then leave something a bit more crap on the other end. Front stability bonus plus 100%. Interesting. Now, what I'll do, I think, is you'll notice that that is the first unofficial qualifying. I call them unofficial events, and then the TT is the official event. So you have to do, and you'll notice there's only the icon for the qualifying. There is no race icon. Until you've actually done the qualifying icon, you don't get that up. Shall we try doing that? Yeah, what the hell? What you get is, it'll be a 30-minute, 60-minute. Qualifying, it says 60 minutes, but you actually start off doing a practice session usually, followed by qualifying. It's a bit confusing because I'm sure it said qualifying and then it did another qualifying. So I will go to the track and I will just ride around and I'll try not to make a complete and utter tool of myself. As I said, I haven't tried this yet, so ooh. Now you will notice the bike's actually reasonably slow to go from side to side, so this is the one thing I've found, is you have to be a bit more oh shit, try not to do that, that's painful. Sorry Michael. Where did he come from? Also, it feels a little stuttery, so whether it's because it's recording, I don't know. What was I about to say? Yeah, the bike, it feels a little, feels a little slow to turn, so you have to get off. You have to sort of preempt all the corners. I don't know whether it's the filtering, I don't know whether it's because I haven't gone above the negative numbers for the sensitivity or what. This Bally Scary we're just coming through. It is, so trying to remember which course we're on. Like I said, I haven't actually ridden the superbikes yet, so I'm sort of chancing my arm a bit here. Ooh, try not to hit the curb. But I have to say, overall, I'm quite impressed with the way the machines handle, in terms of, yeah, there's a little bit of a learning curve in terms of getting your head round sort of how much stick movement you need to get around corners, etc. But it is all fairly... Ooh, shit, I didn't get in there quite early enough. Like I said, you have to sort of preempt the corners a bit, especially on the left-right flicks, or even right-left. Any sort of chicane, you have to sort of be thinking about picking the bike up nice and early to get it to the other half of the sort of chicane. Have a watch up here, you'll see the there you go, bit of a pop in there. Oh shit, try not to hit the curbs, it's painful. Not to mention annoying when you're that close to the end of the... that close to the end. Yeah, I'm gonna go live session, then you can see, ooh, 1 second ahead, and that was after falling off a couple of times. Like I said, the AI skill, this is what it defaulted to, so I only left it on that. Again, some of these events are quite short, some are quite long. Right, that's the end of that session. So when I hit the continue, it should now go to the qualifying. So I don't know why it says qualifying up the top there instead of practice for the first part, or whether it's meant to be 2 qualifying sessions. It's all a bit strange, to be blunt. So now that I've got a reasonable idea of where the hell I'm going, I can try again. Now, down the bottom, you can see the ABS3, TCS3, etc. That's all your various rider aids. Should have run straight over the curb. If you do that, you quite often get a penalty of a few seconds. I presume that's leaping over there quite a lot because I've got the anti-wheelie turned on. You can go round very slow corners quite nicely without falling over. The bike seems to just not mind going at sort of 2 miles an hour and doesn't fall over. So, but you can use your D-pad to select which of the things at the bottom there you're going to adjust, and you use the D-pad to just adjust them. Then with the Super Sport, I actually had the anti-wheelie turned down to 0. I don't know if it's a good idea, but we'll find out in a minute. Oh, there you go, a bit more wheelie. I haven't been able to fall off the back of the Super Sport bike whilst wheeling, so I don't know whether that's actually an impossibility or not. I don't know. But yeah, oh, certainly a bit more lively with a anti-wheelie turned right off. Like I said, I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea, but we'll find out. Got a little bit late turning in there. Like I said, it's just working out how much you need to preempt it. This could be a big wheelie, or even a big leap. Yeah, I'm going sort of 25-30 miles an hour faster on this than I was on the Super Sport, so yeah, I've just got to get my head around it. So, whoop, ooh, shit. Don't do that. That sort of caught me unawares, that. Might turn it up to 1. Try not to hit the curb this time. Yes, that was caught out somewhat by the wheelie there. Not so much the fact that it wheelied, the fact that I wasn't expecting it and lost control of the bike. So yes, slightly embarrassing. 3 minutes 11. I'm going to go end session. Obviously, you could do your full 56 minutes, do as many runs as you like. It's entirely up to you. But you can go in session, and of course, you hope that you're still fastest, and I am indeed. I was actually looking for a different name at the top of the list there and went, oh, I've been beaten by Michael Rutter. I am Michael Rutter today. Today, I am Michael Rutter. So, yes, basically, this is what you do. You do this. You get a shed load of points. You get some upgrade points. Is there an option to replay that? I didn't see. And then the next thing you'll find is if you go to your map, you should see somewhere on it a new orange. There we go. And this is your race. And it's a reasonably short point-to-point job. So that shouldn't be too long. Obviously, the big build-up is to do the Isle of Man. I'm not going to go through 8 races to get to the point of doing the Isle of Man in this video, because obviously it's then a presumably 6-lap race for these. I will, however, do this. Now you notice it says hold your clutch. Well, I'm not going to hold the clutch, I'm just going to do this. Now, obviously, once you've worked out how well you'll match with the other machines, you can up the AI to actually be a bit more of a challenge. But frankly, the biggest challenge is actually just riding the bikes without killing yourself. But as I say, I'm actually bloody impressed with the way they handle. And the actual controls, not bad at all. Like I said, I might try and speed things up a little bit. Now this is where you can see how slowly you can go around a corner. You hear the electronics working a bit there. Yeah, if you sort of, I don't know how difficult it would be, where you probably set up a slightly bizarre that you go down there, but whatever. You could probably set up some custom races on a fairly short course with a good mixer of corners. Do a little bit of messing with the AI, try and work out whereabouts you are. You can do at this point a replay, which I will do, but you can now see there was a thing that told you about your rewards. I can't remember where that was. I think that was actually on the before you come in there. Even if you finish sort of down the bottom of the list, you will still get some XP and some upgrade points and other things. So notice the rider down the bottom there got a penalty, presumably for cutting the track or jumping the start. But we'll just have a look at the replay. Camera, I'm not sure if it goes straight to the terrible start. Oh, there we go. See the anti-wheelie kicking in and doing its job. Just get the cursor out of the way. The replay's quite nice. You will notice a bit of that. I did notice that a bit when I was looking at the replay previously. It'll go to a new camera, and then the sort of grass will take a little second to appear, and things sort of look a little bit oops as something pops in. But generally speaking, it's pretty good. There you go. You just saw the grass pop in there. I don't know if Michael's changed his style over the years, but he used to be one of these people who used the sort of cross bike style, as you call it, where you sort of hang your arse off one side, but you keep your head more or less the other side. It was the sort of style back in the day, before people started to lean cleanly off a bike. I had the same sort of style myself. I was, I don't know whether it's just because I got bloody short legs, so I had to hang my arse off the side of the bike a bit. But yeah, it's interesting to see whether or not they got any differences in the styles of the different riders. Oh, that was a bit ropey looking. So yes, it's the animation, I think, of the riders is quite good. Whether or not, like I said, they've got different styles for different riders, I would assume not. It starts getting a bit much to have, like, well, he's got that style, he's got that style. I mean, obviously, if you looked at something like some of the Grand Prix riders, there's a multitude of different styles between sort of like somebody like Maverick Vinales or somebody like that's quite traditional. I don't know why it goes straight back to the start again for that, but it does. You know, so yes, that's basically. Oh, I've changed to purple now. That's basically the idea behind what you're doing. So basically, you're wandering around, you're looking to see. Now we've got a new qualifying event. If you go to it, it could be another short, or it could be quite a long circuit. So they're all a bit different. Some are literally very short and sharp, some are quite long, and you basically work your way through until you eventually get to an icon appears down here to say do the TT. I don't remember what that one is. What was that? Oh, it was a custom event, yeah. So yes, that's more or less the basis of the game. I've been talking for 45 minutes, or probably because it's the second video, more like an hour. But yeah, would I recommend it? I think it's an improvement in terms of the handling from previous versions. I think hopefully they've added some good things to it. It's got a few foibles, no doubt. Things like some of the controller settings definitely need some work. The ability to map different things, or just ignore the fact that you haven't got something mapped, because I don't need to look fucking left and right and look back and forward. I just don't need them. So I should be able to just assign something else to a different control and go, screw that, I don't need that, it doesn't matter if it's not, or just it's assigned to keys on a keyboard, therefore why do I need it on a controller as well? Also, the weirdness with, like I said, as soon as I turned on me wheel, it actually crashed the game. So, but overall, I think it's worth it. I did pay for the extra version, which actually came with rims as well, which I hadn't realised. I suddenly having a look this morning, went, I don't remember buying rims. When did I buy rims? And I only bought the expensive version, not just to get the 100th start special livery for John McGuinness, but I actually got it for the 2-day early unlock, so I could play it for a couple of days and get out a review reasonably early in the life cycle of, rather than having to wait a couple of days after it had been out. So yes, paid a tenner extra. It's only money. You can't take it with you, whatever. So yeah, all in all, I think it's an improvement. I'd have to do a bit of a back-to-back with 1, 2, and then 3 to see what has improved and where. But I think in terms of the physics, I've not yet had a crash where I haven't gone, yep, I know exactly what caused it. There's nothing worse in racing than having an accident and going, what the happened? I don't know. Of the 5 times I crashed a bike when I was racing back in the day, one of those, I wasn't sure what caused it. I was going through the S's at Snetterton, turned in the right-hander, and the bike just slid out from underneath me. And the marshal came across, picked my bike up and went, had you warmed your tyres up properly? Stuck his hand on my front tyre and went, oh, that's got some warmth in it. Wandered over to the track and sort of kicked it around a bit to look to see if there's anything dodgy that I'd run over. So I was like, okay, so you obviously haven't got a clue why I fell off either. So whatever. That was my first bloody meeting as well, but there you go. But the other 4 times I fell off, I knew exactly why. 2 of them were due to mechanical failures. One where the front brakes got jammed on a bit because an adjuster screw had come in a bit further than it should have done because the Loctite had decided to give up. Really annoying. So when I braked, it didn't release the brake fully. So when I came out of a corner, I went, gave it a handful, lifted the front wheel off the ground, and when it came down again, it wasn't rotating, so it just spat me off the side of the bike. 2 people had that happen to them on that weekend, apparently. Me and somebody else. The end of my first season, I had a crash due to the engine seizing, which ended up with me being in hospital. And then the 2 other crashes were actually on my mate's bike. Both of those caused by an overly soft front tyre that I cooked. So it actually gave up the ghost because I overheated the front tyre, pushed a bit too hard, and it just gave up. I tried to save it. In fact, I saved the front end a couple of times going around Column Curve. Didn't manage to save it around Richards, and then later in the year did the same thing into Sears. Sorry, the next season did the same thing into Sears. And I broke his bike. He still spoke to me afterwards, so you don't give somebody a bike to race and not expect them to throw it down a circuit, and if they do, you don't shout at them about it. It's part of racing, crashing, it happens. It's not always somebody's fault, it's just shit happens. But yeah, worth a look. I would say what they're going to add later. There was an update that said they've added a thing saying I got the 2023 DLC season. How you select it, I don't know, because I can't see how you could. But at the moment, it's got 2022, but not 2023. So I'm a bit confused, but we'll see later. Hopefully they'll carry on working for a few months on it to polish it and get it a bit better. In terms of how well it runs, it's quite good. Like I said, I did try it on some fairly minimum spec gear. I will see if I can try it on something a bit more approaching the recommended settings. The recommended is GTX 970. Now I haven't got a 970. My nephew's got my 980, but I have got a 1060, which is pretty similar. So I'll try it on that and see how it goes, and see whether or not it does sort of 60 frames per second, 1080 reasonably well. In terms of minimum, I think they're aiming at around 720, 30 frames per second on lower settings, and it does that quite nicely. It would actually do just over 30 on the lower settings. So yeah, it's I personally wouldn't like to run it at 30 frames per second. It's a bit stuttery, but if that's all you got as the minimum spec, it will work. But yeah, it's a little bit of a rather you than me, I think. So yeah, all in, I think it's a good improvement on the previous version. Like I said, I would have to back it a bit more. The previous 2 versions, I did occasionally fall off and go, not sure what happened there. That has not happened at all. Even on the sort of realistic handling, every time I dropped it, it was usually a simple fact that either I hadn't turned in early enough, so I caught a curb, which is quite easy to do. Some of the curbs are lethal, some aren't too bad at all. They're all square, so if you run them right, they're fine. If you don't quite catch them right, they can be quite dangerous. Other than that, it's usually either trying to hang on to the brake, or you've just given it too much welly and you've turned off the traction control a bit. it does actually say that you've got more rider aids in the sort of beginner mode than the realistic mode, but how much the driver aids are different to the ones you can adjust yourself anyway, I don't know. I'm assuming they do make enough of a difference that you will notice it. I did notice that it was much easier to actually lose the front end on the brakes in realistic mode, especially in the wet, especially if you've not actually adjusted the setup a bit. That was one thing I did think, is if you're going to have a setup that you can change, then you should be able to save it. You can't save setups as far as I can see, so if it's wet, you could have a wet setup, you could have a dry setup. The only thing that changes is the tyres. Normally you'd change your suspension a bit, soften it up as well, but if you can't actually save it, then you've got to try and remember what the defaults are for a dry race and then go back to them if it's dry the next time. It's a little bit silly. Also, you can't save replays, which is always a bit of a shame. It's quite interesting to be able to sort of send somebody else your replay. Look at me, I was really fucking great. Otherwise, you've got to actually record it and then view it, or send it to somebody as a video, which is a bit, But maybe they'll add it, maybe they won't. I don't know. Shouldn't be that much of a pain in the arse to actually take a lump of memory and save it to a file, and then from a file load it back into memory. But who am I to say such things? Anyway, enjoy your racing, have fun. I will see you soon, and I will probably do maybe a couple more videos about this over the next week or two. They won't be immediate, I've got other things to do, but yeah, well worth a look. So enjoy your racing, have fun. I will see you soon. Goodbye.